Tape begins. Hello, and welcome to an Offworlders Guide to Earth, written by Isaac Serrano and vocoder by AI Delta 14. This guide will be split into chapters, detailing the variety of phenomena one may encounter planetside or even in orbit. Chapter 1, Survival Gear and Basic Overview of Warning Markers. Most places on Earth contain a variety of abodes, many of which were built for visiting tourists, who are not set up to live in an oxygenated environment. However, that being said, it is highly advisable to pick up some of the following: a radiation/EVA suit, sage, salt, an edition of Tobin's Spirit Guide and Bestiary, a spirit box and universal translator, a firearm, both standard and exotic ammo, local communications unit, a Martian-grade FEMA tent, spare atmosphere tanks, where applicable, personal gravity acclimator, where applicable, food tasting kit, pouch of bolts, nails, and bullet casings. Each item on the list is a shave down from the original intergalactic recommendation for visiting Earth, which has been categorized as an Apollyon level, habitable reality hazard. As Earth is a habitable reality hazard, it is recommended that one remains within designated areas, such as large cities or parks, protected by Foundation reality anchors. Large sites with a sphere and an arrow aimed out mark the edges of the reality anchor's influence. Consult your guide on any additional precautions you may need before leaving the safe zone. Uses for tools. Tobin's Spirit Guide and Bestiary can be used to look up a variety of supernatural entities located on Earth and automatically updates itself as new entities are found. This is done by a process of redacted and manifests a new page in the booklet as needed. To use, simply aim the crystal eye on the spine at the supernatural item you wish to examine, and open the book, or apply a digit to the eye and think about a supernatural item. Otherwise, simply open the booklet and it will open to a random, if interesting, entry. Sage has a variety of uses, including but not limited to warding off anger spirits and eldritch horrors. To use, simply place inside a burner and ignite. Do not use all at once. A small amount at a time works, once every 24 hours or so. Less, depending on the strength of the angered entity. Salt can be used to trap malicious entities, or keep out entities from your abode. To use, sprinkle salt in a circle and lay a trap inside. Once the angered entity is inside, close the circle. You now have 30 minutes to exercise, run, or appease the entity. Less depending on the strength. If it simply steps out, kiss your posterior goodbye. To keep entities out of a shelter, simply line the doorway, window, fireplace, any kind of entry point with salt. Most abodes or permanent dwellings already have solid salt liners, so this is meant more for temporary shelter. Firearms are recommended over standard energy weapons, due to the different ammos required for certain hostile entities, beyond armor piercing. Silver is preferred against werewolves. Wood or blessed metals is recommended against vampires. Standard chemical-based slug throwers are recommended as coil guns, and rail guns are prone to EMPs, or shorting out due to the supernatural. Crossbows, while archaic and limited in range, are usable. It's recommended to acquire a pump-action model by Spray of Industries and compatible bolts. Hazard markers are as follows: food safety, radiation, cognitive, reality, astral, temporal, spectral. Food safety markers denote the dangers in the local food supply. If it is marked with a K in a triangle, kosher, those are relatively safe to eat for all species and are handled with the utmost care. Please be aware of your species' limits regarding glucose, gluten, fish, nut, or other related allergies. If the food is marked with a W, surrounded by a hexagon, Wendigo, do not eat it. If a restaurant also has a similar symbol on its door, eat carefully and do not share meals with other patrons. While some cultures, such as the Kamanians, see this as polite, on Earth it is not advisable to do so. This food is often meat-related, generally served bloody, raw, or lightly cooked. Consuming it will turn one into a Wendigo themselves. See Species and Cultures for more information. If the food is marked with a U, surrounded by a pentagon, undead, do not eat unless you are a carrion consumer. Applicably, do not enter restaurants marked with this symbol, as generally a foul odour will come from them, ruining the appetites from most. This food often consists of rotting, poorly aged meats, generally proffered by liches and the undead. See Species and Cultures for more information. If the restaurant, food or oil is marked M, surrounded by a square, machine, this is generally reserved for mechanoids. It is advisable to not consume meals marked with this, as it's often spiked with fuels, oils or heavy metals, as is needed by those of the more mechanically inclined, or those who are meant to eat a mix of both. If capable of consuming such, please ask what metals are used before consumption. Blood banks marked with a B in a circle are places that those who require blood of one form or another can go to get a meal. It is advisable to take an allergens test before consuming, as Terrans have a wide variety of blood types, many of which are not agreeable with most sanguinivores. Environmental hazards. Environmental hazards are most common outside of spaceports and most major cities. Please be advised several exceptions to this rule do exist. An example, the United States, Moscow, Chorsk, Chernobyl, Nagasaki, Ireland. Radiation hazards are marked with a yellow circle, split into 6 parts, with a yellow and black pattern, and a black dot at the centre. It is advised to be wearing a level 4 radiation or EVA suit in these areas or higher, depending on species' susceptibility to radioactivity. Most Terran communication units come with a Class 9 radiation counter in it, to ensure you do not wander too close to a zone outside your species' safe zone. Please set beforehand. Please be advised that some reality hazards, marked with a square disintegrating, go hand in hand with radioactivity or exclusion zones. These can be found by distortions in the air, warping sounds, and the sight of something disintegrating within. If you see a slight distortion, not unlike a thermal distortion, near you, throw a bolt or small, otherwise useless object, like a rock, into the area. If you see a cloud of discoloured air and see the item disintegrating, move around the distortion zone to avoid. Cognitive hazards are harder to avoid in many cases, but doable. Most are marked with a triangle with a brain symbol, and consist of eldritch writings, imagery, or entities. See Species and Cultures for more details. If the symbol is seen, ask your guide for goggles for your species, close your eyes and turn away, or use your local communications device's camera, which has been programmed to censor cognitohazards. Please be advised, this will severely reduce battery life. Temporal hazards are marked with a breaking hourglass symbol, and are highly guarded due to their danger to reality itself. On the off chance you find a new one, hope that it's relatively benign, and call the local temporal anomaly hotline. Astral hazards are things such as floating, shattered landscapes, reverse gravity and waterfalls, cold magma, and other such things. Relatively easy to avoid, provided one pays attention around them, and often home to many Terrans. Spectral hazards are generally harder to find, and are constantly mobile, consisting of angered spirits, portals to other realities, or gods wandering among Terrans on vacation. If you find your species' deity taking a vacation, please do not make a large fuss about it. It's considered impolite. This concludes the Chapter 1 overview. Tape ends.